So I'm going to now show you how to make, using my calla lily mat, these are the texture mats for calla lily, how to use this for foliage. So obviously if you watch the calla lily, arum lily segment, the YouTube video, that will obviously show how we use this for texturing the center spadix of the calla lily, also using it for anthuriums, for grass, for leather texture, etc. Here in this segment I'm going to show you in this video how to use this to make basically 3 different types of leaves. I'm going to show you first of all how to make a tulip leaf, which I will be using on with my parrot tulip in my parrot tulip video. I will be showing you how to make lily of the valley leaf. So actually in my first flower book, in Flower Pro 1, I showed lily of the valley leaves, and this is actually the veiner, type of veiner you would use for this. So you can obviously, I will show you how to make that. And I'm also going to show you how to make like a hosta style leaf. So this could be used for like tropical leaves, and you can do stripes like this, so I'll show you the technique I use. So this, as a little segment, is all about foliage, okay? So anyway, we're going to start off by showing how to make the tulip leaf. Now there are ways you can make wired tulip leaves, but when I use this, for example, on things like the parrot tulip, I actually like to make this with this hollow. And so actually what will happen is we'll slide the stem of the tulip through here, because this is actually really more how tulip leaves grow. So this is usually, when I make tulip leaves personally, is how I would usually make them. We're going to take some paste. This is some gum paste flower modeling paste in a sort of a brighter green color. I'm just going to already have conditioned this with a little bit of vegetable shortening, some veg white fat. Little corn flour on here. Gonna roll this out. I'm actually gonna go through the pasta machine on number 1 thickness. Remember, if you get air bubbles into your gum paste, this is a acupuncture needle, which is what I use when I do rolled fondant sugar paste work to get rid of air bubbles in sugar paste or rolled fondant. I just keep this on a magnet, and we'll feed this through the pasta machine on number 1. So I'm just going to bring in my pasta machine here now, and then the pasta machine will just come into here. So I'm going to put it on number 1, which is the thickest setting. I'm just going to feed this through the pasta machine just to get this long piece of paste, okay? And now we don't use any template for this or cutter. What I'm going to do is just flip this over. So obviously we're going to make this the length of the mat here, so you can just cut off the bottom part square. So I'm just using that part of the mold. You see it's square, just using that as my gauge. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is just going to just press this onto with a cosmetic sponge. So the tulip leaf is not as wide as the hosta leaf, so you really only need to concentrate in that middle area here. Okay, just going to press this onto the back, and you see you're actually going to get the nice veining coming through. And all we're going to do here is going to peel this off. You're going to turn this over, okay, and I'm just going to cut across that bottom part because I want this square at the base, okay, like this. And then I'm just going to cut this, so I'm almost following the curve of the leaf, okay. So I'm just going to just sort of follow that curve of the leaf here, like this. I'm going to come to the top, and then on the bottom part here, when we do the bottom part, we want to have that, for my size guide, so it wants to be about 2.5 centimeters, alright, so about, as I said, about 1 inch, so that's about 1 inch. You can use a ruler for that if you're a little bit unsure. I'm just going to just cut this to the top here, like so, okay. So this is going to give you basically your tulip leaf, and then once you've got your tulip leaf here, we're going to just take your excess paste, pop this back into your bag. I'm going to use the back of my larger foam pad here, and I'm going to turn this over to the back, and then using this is going to be my XL ball tool, so my extra large ball tool, we're going to soften. This is actually what I use for the calla lily, so we're just going to soften around your edge. If you don't have a large ball tool like this, you can also use the rounded end of your rolling pin, okay, so that also works well, the rounded end of your rolling pin. So at this point here, we're just going to build this. Alright, so all we're going to do here is going to take Now I'm going to use a piece of tubing. This is a poly dowel, which I use for putting flowers into cake. So this is basically like a drinking straw size. So you could use a paper drinking straw, plastic drinking straw, or as I said, a poly dowel. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put this into position here. And I'm going to take a little bit of egg white. And very much like the way, if you've already watched my calla lily segment, we're actually going to put this around. So we're actually going to roll this around like a calla lily. And I'm going to put a little bit of egg white down here, and then I'm going to then bring the other part of this around, and you're just going to stretch it so it sort of sits around here like that. And you want the straw to actually, if you've used a little bit too much egg white, just use a little bit of cornstarch on there, and you want the straw to sort of be in there so that it will basically stay in place, alright? And this is how you'll make your leaves. Now of course if you're doing smaller tulips, you can make smaller leaves in this method. Now, you're going to take a piece of aluminum foil. So this is food service foil. So these come, you know, foil sheets. So unlike a roll of aluminum foil, this is not as stiff. So I like to use this for forming, and you'll see in my parrot tulip and in my peony, I talk about making spoon shapes here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to sort of fold this over at the top. So it's a little bit thicker at the top here. And then I'm going to just almost like hold it like this. I'm going to use 2 fingers underneath and 1 finger on top, and I'm going to do like a sort of a crease, like a little bit like a taco shell. So you're going to get this sort of V shape, alright? And then I'm just going to, where I put it double, I'm just going to fold that under like this. So you almost have this little bit like a ski slope, and then your leaf will literally, as I said, just lay into here. I'm just going to fold over the top like this, and you just almost just pinch that. So you're going to get this nice natural, so you see the top of the leaf will just bend over the top of the foil here, so it curls back a little bit, and you'll have this nice shape for your leaf. So you can see that when the leaf is actually completed, it's going to, and you remove that, you're going to have the hole through there, and then this will be dusted and then be actually slid onto the wire. We're going to put paste in here, and then we're going to slide the tulip into here. So that is going to be the tulip leaf. And of course this could be made in different colors of green, and as I said, when I come back I'm going to show you how to make the Lily of the Valley leaf. So in this segment I'm going to show you the Lily of the Valley leaf. So in book 1 of Flower Pro, we used the Lily of the Valley leaf with the Lily of the Valley from the Ultimate Filler Flower mold, and I'm going to show you how we would actually make that leaf using this mat, the Calla Tulip mat. So this is a Lily of the Valley leaf cutter. It's a very basic shape, but we will have this as a downloadable PDF for you to download to actually print this off on card, and then you can just of course put the card on the top, and then you would just cut around with the cutting wheel. If you watch my Calla Lily, my new Calla Lily YouTube videos, you will see how I use the 5 templates, which again are downloadable, just to cut around to make Calla Lilies. Once we have got this cut out, I'm going to place this onto my pad here. Just put it on the edge of the pad, and then we're going to take a wire here. This is a 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to just put a little bit of egg white on the end of this. I'm going to thread the wire into the paste. So you want to thread this in about halfway into the paste. Okay, it's going to go about halfway into the leaf. Just going to mold this around the bottom here. Now don't worry too much if the wire is a little bit visible, because remember this is quite a thick wire, okay? But it's because this will, once you press this on the top, and you're going to just position this up towards the top here. I'm just going to press this on with my cosmetic sponge, and you see that will just make the wire become embedded into the paste, alright? So I'm just going to press this on here. I'm going to take this off, so you see how it's going to give you this nice leaf shape. I'm going to turn this over. Again, I'm going to use my sort of large, this is the extra large balling tool. In my Calla Lily videos I talk about this. This is what I call the small ball tool, medium and large ball tool, and then this is extra large, and this is extra large. So here we're using just the extra large. On my Calla Lily, on the large white Calla Lily, I use the extra large. But this is a really nice ball tool when you're wanting to obviously soften bigger leaves. I'm just going to turn this over. You can just use your companion tool here, and just going to just pinch this around the companion tool, because you want to make sure you have this nice sort of hollow, because the Lily of the Valley, when the Lily of the Valley sits in there, it actually will sit into there a little bit like a tulip almost. And then again you can just take a piece of aluminum foil, just like I did on the tulip leaf, I'm going to just crimp this 2 fingers underneath, 1 finger on top. So you create this like a slight V shape. Just going to place the lily of the valley leaf into there to dry. And then again, you can just sort of fold the top over a little bit so the leaf will dry. So you're going to get this little, you know, when the leaf is finished, you have this little sort of crook over the top of it, okay? And that would be how you would do your lily of the valley leaf. So coming up next will be how I do hosta. Hostas come in many different variations. I'm going to show you this sort of striped hosta, but of course hostas come in solid green with white spots on, so there's lots and lots of variations. But this could also be used as a sort of a fabulous leaf like in a tropical flower arrangement, and things like spider plant leaves. So obviously spider plant is a popular house plant. That is basically this almost like creamy green color and a darker green. And this technique can also be used, I'm going to show you, for ribbons. So when you want to do striped ribbons, you can use this for cake as well. Now, so what we're going to do first is I have rolled out some paste. So I've rolled out here some green, and I've also rolled out some very pale green. So this is the color I use for like the hydrangea and the green calla lily, and obviously center of the tulip. So I've used this quite a lot in some of my new products. So I've rolled these both out number 1, okay? What we're then going to do is, and once you've used your pasta machine on number 1, I'm going to take off the plain roller. So this is the plain roller of the KitchenAid pasta machine, and obviously with number 1 is the thickest. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change to the fettuccine or noodle attachment, okay? There is a triple set you can buy with also angel hair attachment, which I use for tassels and things. So we're going to put this into the pasta machine here. So this is just going to go in, so it's going to just lock into here. I'm just going to actually bring this up onto the table so you'll be able to see that when it goes through. So this is the fettuccine attachment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the pale green, okay, and what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to take a little bit of vegetable shortening, white fat, and just going to, because we're going to use this to stick the 2 pastes together. So when you watch like my roses, I use this technique for rose calyxes. See, I've just put a little bit of vegetable fat just onto here so it will actually make this stick. And just a small amount of white fat, vegetable shortening. I'm going to then take this, it's going to go through the fettuccine attachment. So when this goes through the fettuccine attachment, the little strips will come out like this. And I use this for all sorts of things in cake, like for making bow loops, for making ribbons. Just gonna get my pasta machine out of the way now. Now if you don't have an angel hair attachment, you can buy a little cutter for cutting herbs like parsley and oregano and basil and things like that, cilantro, that you can buy. It's just a little roller. That works really well as well. There are also companies like Gem Cutters do a number 3 strip cutter. That would be a comparable size to this. Now what I've done here is I've got my paste rolled out. So I'm going to now just open up my flap. So I've got this on my flap, a little piece of plastic like a page protector. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to just lay this on. And I'm going to actually, so I'm putting the shortening side down. But you see what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to do this in a, almost like a leaf shape, you see? Now if you're doing ribbons, you know, let's say you want to do black and white ribbons, you can use this technique, and you could, of course, there you would put them. So you see how I'm going to if you were making a sort of shallow one, you could just do three lines onto here. But as I said, this technique you use for, as I said, but it's a nice way to show how to do a variegated leaf like this, you see? So you see you actually put this on the top like this. Then you can reuse this strip. You're then going to cover this over. Now because we have the vegetable shortening on this, I'm now going to use my rolling pin, and I'm just going to roll over the top here on the plastic. So I'm just going to use, and you can use also a sugar paste rolled fondant smoother for this. You see how I'm going to just actually embed. So you see now you actually have the cream paste is embedded into the, but you see, so if you imagine this was a ribbon, like a bow loop where your lines would be straight, this could be used on cake as well. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and you're just going to cut this out to the shape you want this to be. Okay, so you're just going to sort of take this and come out. I'm going to just sort of use that cream on the edge. All right, so you can do, you know, different obviously like effects here. But just going to use your cream on your edge. And of course you can make this whatever size you want. So if you wanted to make, so you could actually use this to make almost like 2 leaves, but you can make a smaller leaf from this also. So you can just come across the top here. So you just want to sort of make this sort of symmetrical. You see, so how this is how you would build your, how you do your leaf. All right, so this is how you would do your sort of stripe leaf. Now the paste you have left, of course you can just use this and then just knead this together, and this would just make a lighter version of what you started off with. And of course if you're doing several leaves, you could use this for the next one with the cream on it, so you're going to get a little bit of gradient coloring. And then of course you would take your, so you'd put your wire in the same way as I did on the, to turn this over, so you put your wire in the same way as I did Lily of the Valley. All right, and then once you have done that, you're going to then just take that, pop that onto the mat here. Now if you wanted to make the leaf longer, so basically if you wanted a leaf like this length, okay, which you could totally do with this mat, what you would do here is you just would put this on, and then you would press this on with your cosmetic sponge, like this. And then what you would do is once you've then done that, so if you want a tulip leaf longer than the vena, you then would just slide that down, and you just would continue, because the lines are going to just sort of blend in really, really nicely. So you see how you're going to get this lovely veining onto here. And of course this would be softened on the edge, so you just would soften it on the edge, and that's going to give you your leaf, you see. So you can make sort of striped leaves, but these are of course could be made in different variations. And you can also just put like just random shapes on here. You can obviously also cut like zigzags and things on the cream and just put this on. But as I said, this gives you a nice hosta leaf, which is obviously a popular garden foliage, and is very nice to use on a large arrangement. So this is the hosta leaf, Lily of the Valley leaf, and the tulip leaf. So when I come back, I'm going to show you how we color and finish those off. So for finishing off the tulip leaf, once this is dry, you're going to remove the piece of tubing that you have in there, or the straw. So we're actually going to use, first of all, white. So this is white powder color, which is actually like titanium dioxide powder, because a tulip leaf is usually a little lighter on the back. So I'm actually going to brush some white onto the back of this. I'm going to just do this all over the back part, and you see it's going to give it that almost like sagey green color. And then I'm going to take here some apple green, which is a sort of a brightish green. You could also use a lime green as well. And I'm just going to just brush this all over this part here. Okay, so just going to brush that over the inside part. Once we've got that completed, we're going to take the piece of paper towel here, and I'm just going to lightly spray this with lacquer. And generally when you do this, you want to just sort of obviously use your lacquer spray, so you're going to make sure you spray inside the hair. Okay, and then you're just going to just turn this over. Of course you can put gloves on for this, and then you're just going to just spray on the outside of this. And you see what's going to happen is it's not going to look white, it's just going to have that sort of like a, once this evaporates, you're going to get this almost like eucalyptus-y sage color. So it's just another way you can make obviously like a two-tone leaf. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side just to dry for about 5 minutes. I've already finished off the hosta leaf and the Lily of the Valley leaf, and these are basically done with the same color. So here I just used apple green all over the Lily of the Valley leaf, and then obviously I've lacquered that, so I've used a spray lacquer. So that will be my Lily of the Valley leaf. And then my hosta leaf, I just used a angled brush like this, and then I went in and I did almost like a stripe of apple on top of the, so that the creamy yellow color that I had underneath is a little bit more subtle. Okay, and but it just gives you ideas of making like variegated leaves. And I said there's lots of different variegations you can do, but I said this is a fun leaf to use for, obviously, as I said, a large arrangement. If you wanted to have a little bit of variegation in that, that technique works very, very well. So this has just got apple green on, and that would be, as I said, just steamed, because obviously there you've got a stripe and you want to keep it so it doesn't just all blend. And then you would, once you've lightly steamed it, you would then put the spray lacquer onto that. So that is your hosta leaf and your, as I said, your Lily of the Valley leaf. And obviously here we have the, see this is nearly dry, you have your your tulip leaf. So I hope you will enjoy using those leaves in different applications, and with my ultimate filler flowers, obviously the Lily of the Valley leaf, with my parrot tulip segment, you're going to see on the parrot tulip segment how I actually use this attached to the tulip, and that's a really fun way to obviously finish off the leaves. So till next time, I'll see you soon.